What's going on, everybody? It's Monday and it's story time. It's time to get to business. I wanted to show you my book, Maestro Drake Presents. And the title of this is called Grim Planet, a story about a hardcore thug, kind of based on my cousin Gabriel. A story about a Latino thug in East LA who made the wrong choices, going from a sort of a semi non-fictional type story, going from kind of a crime drama to horror, like monster movie horror. A story about a man who is scarred and deformed and meets all the wrong people for his own right purposes. A man who creates the end of the world. It starts with the end of the world and ends with the end of the world, but in between is a man's life torn to shreds. I wrote this in 2016 and finished it 3 years before Joker, before Brightburn, a horror evil story about a man who turns evil, who needed help but didn't get it, and all these science fiction things happened. I mean, not only based on my cousin Gabriel's life, who died of AIDS in 1995, but he could have prolonged his life, but he chose not to because it wasn't cool enough to be depending on medicine. It's based on my life and the tragedies of family abuse I suffered. So there's non-fictional elements of family abuse, child abuse, sibling abuse, bullying in school, bullying in families, and also cool science fiction aspects, and the worst of humanity. You know, you think of the seven deadly sins, gluttony, lust, greed, avarice, the seven deadly sins. And you see it in these characters. You see it in all five characters. You're going to see the worst of humanity, the most vulgar, ugly aspects. Just think of Brightburn. Think of a Rob Zombie movie. Think of Joker. Think of East LA gangs. Think of the grittiness, the grimness before the whitewashing, before the gentrification. Think of the evils, and that's what this story is about. Now, this is a 120-page story that I wrote 3 years ago. Kind of showed it. I showed it to a book group. They didn't like it because they're closed-minded like that. But I'm showing it to all of you. This is page 1. Now, this is starting at the end of the story. So you're going to hate this guy. You're going to hate him. But he's already dying. He's already dead. Downtown Los Angeles devastation in the early 21st century. Now, I'm not going to read this out to you. If anybody wants a copy of this, I can email it to you. You'd have to give me your email address and I can send it to you as a PDF. Otherwise, here are the Cliff's Notes of my own book. So this is page 1. Did I win? Did I lose? Does it matter? Now, this is the first 20 pages I'm going to show you today, and not more than that. But this is the sort of the opening line to my story. Did I win? Did I lose? Does it matter? What does that mean to win, to lose, to matter in life? In this visual guide to my book, you can see a weird spaceship over the city of downtown. And in it, you have like all these different buildings. And then you have people getting obliterated by this giant green laser. It looks like the Death Star, but not exactly. But it's a thing with spinning arms, destroying everything around the city. And here is Jerry the Reaper. He's torn, he's battle damaged. He's messed up. Now, the story that I wrote has his narration to it. I mean, he's narrating it. So on this first page, you have to know, I put color into this. These are based on characters I created back in the early 2000s and late 90s. Way back when I was very young. But this character is narrating. So I like the idea of a character narrator as opposed to a very general narrator that I had done before. You know, when you read books, or if you read books for book reports and stuff, you're going to see a general narrator saying it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, call me Ishmael, all that nonsense. But here, he's talking, and he's talking like, well, what do I look like? Well, shit, as I lie here counting down the seconds I got left to live, might as well tell you. So he's talking like he's on the street. He's talking like a street thug. He's talking like he's in the barrio. So he's not talking with proper English. He's not speaking proper, eloquent, well-spoken, well-read words. He's speaking like a thug. And he's going to be a racist, and he's going to be a bigot, and he's going to be a sexist. But that's just the way it is. Why is he this way? We go through a bit of it. We don't get all the questions answered, but here's most of them being answered. And so here's page 2, in which we go from the 21st century, from this post-apocalyptic sort of devastating Order 66, kill the Jedi, War of the Worlds type of scenario, to a very kind of sort of non-fictional scenario in which we have baby Jerry. So Jerry the Reaper was Jerry Amaria before he became a monster. And you can see here his little eyes. Here's Jerry as a baby. You know, you go from Jerry on the floor in a hospital room as this giant alien ship with a green eye with green lasers starts killing people in downtown Los Angeles. And here you see him in a hospital as a baby. Now, these two people here are to the left and right. These are based on my real aunt and uncle. My uncle died years ago. He was a wife beater. He was a piece of shit. And my aunt's religious, so she loves to live in God and religion. Just think of Quagmire from Family Guy and his mom, and you kind of get the idea. So he's not supposed to be smoking, so whatever. There's a lot of little idiotic tropes. So this first real scene with dialogue, it's all in Spanish. Now, why did I do it in Spanish and not just put like little brackets and put it in English? ¿Por qué no? Because I wanted it to be authentic. Now, the way I wrote this story was that I didn't want the Spanish dialogue to overwhelm the English narrative. So you'll notice that, yes, there's English here at the bottom, and there's English narrative here, but the Spanish goes on for just a few lines. It's blurry right now, but you can see that there's a very few lines here, and it doesn't overwhelm. And the italics that you may be able to see here are all in English. So the Spanish is very limited. And I wanted to be respectful, because if you're a second generation immigrant, your chances are your parents are speaking Spanish, they're speaking Mandarin Chinese, they're speaking Japanese, they're speaking Hindi or Armenian or whatever language. So you have to be respectful and put a little bit of the language in there. Here's some more pictures of the aunt, with a cross and her religion. And you kind of see baby Jerry in the background. Little does she know that this kid would bring about the end of the world. But here, the scene is that she's going to go to church. Jerry's parents are getting ready to go to church on Sunday. So this is the introduction to Jerry. So this kid right here, where my finger's at, that's my cousin Gabriel as a kid. So it represents, so Jerry is based on Gabriel as a child. I don't think I can get better than that. Yeah, that's as good as it's going to get. So it's, Jerry is based on Gabriel. So they're virtually the same person. But that's to give you an idea of what he would look like as a child. So after they have an argument about getting ready for church, and then, Jerry's dad comes along, Pedro. And so what you're seeing here is you have Jerry, and, this is based on my cousin Gabriel's bedroom with all the little Hot Wheels and cars, because he likes to work on cars, right? And you see his mom, he's mouthing off, and she's going to smack him good if he doesn't behave, My aunt was not the kind of person to be afraid to hit her kids. My aunt liked to hit her kids. My dad liked to hit us. It was that spare the rod, spoil the child Christian mentality. And then somewhere in this scene, the father comes in. This is Pedro, based on my uncle Pablo, who liked to beat up, women and cheat on them. I don't know what the hell. This is getting into some nonfiction. I don't want to talk too much about my real life, but yeah, this was the kind of conflicts you would have between two old people. I mean, basically, she threw out his old clothes, and he got really angry about that. So it's loosely based on the kind of conflicts in my real family life. So this is the kind of thing that you see Jerry at the bottom here, he has to deal with. And you can't see it very well, but Jerry's trying to be a white knight for his mom. He doesn't have much. I mean, the backstory for him is that his big brother's in jail for being a thug and committing murder, and his sisters are all gold diggers. They're in their 20s and they're gold digging. So they're trying to mooch off of mom. And he doesn't have any real attachments. He doesn't have any friends in school. So he's trying to defend his mom. However, insecure she may be and hypocritical at times and trying to hold on to religion, he's trying to find good in people, but it doesn't work. So Um, you could tell through his eyes he's kind of pissed off. He doesn't know who to trust. So he walks off to the next room while his dad beats up his mom. Then we get to the next scene. Instead of seeing husband punch wife, which would not be very entertaining, we see Jerry get his beat down from thugs as he gets his initiation. So it's a bastardized, version of an initiation from gangs, and he's getting the shit beaten out of him. It's very harsh. So we go from Spanish to English in this sort of scene here, but you see that this is representative of the beatdown he's getting. And so we are introduced to Adolfo Ramos, the big old Adolfo Fat Cat Adolfo, then Brendan Pocket VR, then Juan Melon Camacho, Victor Pina de la Rosa, and they call themselves Los Cranios or LCS. So, he's going through the initiation process of being called the Reaper. And that goes on for a little while. We get into some scenes. One of them is where Jerry is supposed to steal a bike. So here you have Jerry. You got these other gruesome-looking thugs. This is like Bart Simpson. You got here's Fat Cat Adolfo, and so he's got that slow motion kind of, yeah, brother, you're with us now kind of thing. Because this kid doesn't have any friends in normal school, so these are the friends he ends up making. And here's one of his first jobs, stealing the bike, of course, as I typed down. And you got the other two guys, Juan, and I think that's Pocket. I can't remember. That's I remember some of these people. I can't remember anymore their names, but that's Juan Camacho there, and there's Brendan, I think. And then you got one of the other rival gang crews seeing his bike getting stolen, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So you got these three staring down at the other two rival crews. This guy is based on a guy I knew in high school who I know this fucker was in a gang, and he didn't show up after Halloween. He must have gotten arrested or killed. So they caught him in the act. Juan's got a gun with a silencer, shoots him dead. So they decide to chase, and they get away. Jerry's got parts of the bike. So they see the getaway truck. Like, hurry, hurry, get in the back, hurry up. Get in the truck, get in the truck. So they drive off. Jerry gives the finger. The other crew member's like, what the fuck, man, So this is a dirty, grimy, ugly area. So this is all like stuff I just drew ahead of time. Yeah, so here's the silencer, and you see the silencer noise. So this stuff, I try to use visuals. I separate the dialogue from the narration, which is in dark red. This is in black, and you'll see comic book stuff. So this I mostly did. And this is where, so they moved on to stealing dogs and sell baby pit bulls for profits. But slowly Jerry kind of wondered if this gang was right for him or not, or if this family was right for him or not. But he did his initiation, LCS, Los Cranios, and then he added a skull for whatever, like as a sort of a foretelling of his fate. The cops are on the run. So this is right here is his initiation. So this is loosely based on a pasta house, Betty's Spaghetti. You see this? You see the truck here, the same truck from the hit or the theft. And you got all the thugs. You got Fat Cat Adolfo, you got Juan, you got Brendan, you got Peanut or Melon. I think this is Melon with the weird crushy head. And there's Jerry the Reaper. So he's got his new name, Reaper, Jerry Reaper Amaria. So, there's people in the background and stuff, but they're having beers. He's about 15 years old, so he's going to have a beer anyway. This is where it's all happening, man. And so here we have, this scene where he just says the monster who killed and killed and killed. So he's talking about what a Reaper does. It kills and kills and kills, which is very ironic for Jerry. Because what Jerry does as a thug at age 15 is nowhere near as bad as what he does when he's 19. That's far, far worse. But as we go here, this is another scene where Jerry helps Fat Cat fix a car. Based on my older cousin, I think he's about 55 years old. And my cousin Gabriel, who was 16, 17, working on cars, I took a diagram of a car on the inside and copied and pasted that here. So hand drew all the details of a car under the hood, where everything was. I'm not a mechanic, But I praise the mechanics, whether you're in East LA or Huntington Beach or Seal Beach. I mean, all mechanics have to work hard, even if they use new technologies or old. So, um, so this he kind of represents my older cousin, so my second cousin. So here's Fat Cat Adolfo teaching him how to do stuff. He's going to test out the car. This is as far as the comic book version of this story goes. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit more in visual aids in my book. So in this scene here, he's having a problem with some black kid on the schoolyard talking shit. So Jerry decides he's going to pick a fight with this kid. So he's calling him all kinds of derogatory names. And the black kid's going to say, "What bitch? What bitch?" This was based on somebody I knew. He has a nephew. And when his nephew was a kid, he would get into a fight with a black kid. And the black kid would be like, "What's up, bitch?" He would do that kind of shit. Some gangster signs and shit. And so he would try to pick on him. But. So, yeah, there's this fight that goes on between Jerry and the black kid. And let me see if I can turn the page for you here, because you can't turn the page. So in this scene, you see the bam, he's already punching him in the face. So the vice principal gets involved, and then you have Enrique the guard trying to stop the fight. And so there's a dialogue with the principal, and Jerry ends up getting detention, in which he meets a beautiful girl. Now, let me tell you about this beautiful girl. She is based on someone that I knew in my real life, and this is exactly how she looked. I mean, when I was horny for her when I saw her. She wore a black vest, no shirt, probably a bra, hopefully a bra underneath, maybe not. But she had a black slacks, black, like she was going to work, and she looked exactly like this. That's her hair. That's her nice long neck, her face. Oh, I wanted her so bad. And this was like 1997. So Biani in this one is Jerry's love interest, who he meets. He meets her in school. He meets her in high school. I met this girl in real life when I was starting in college. And so on this page here, where's my hand? This is the page. So Jerry meets Biani here on this page, and then he goes and they have a conversation. Mr. Perez and Mr. Doulier are based on real Perez and real Doulier. Doulier was a principal who was a complete dumbass in my elementary school days, and Perez was this asshole teacher from a private school that spread a rumor that I was stuffed in a locker. So Perez, this was Bosco Tech, and he made a rumor that I was stuffed in a locker. And the only reason I'm quote unquote defaming him is because he defamed me first, and I was a child, 14 years old. How could you start a rumor about somebody and that wasn't true, that you knew wasn't true? So anyway, Perez made my high school years a living fuck. Thank you. Fuck you very much, Mr. Perez. So yeah, Mr. Perez in this book is a fictional character. He's a math teacher, English teacher, whatever. So Jerry and Biani talk. They get to know each other. They, let's see if we can get to this page. So Biani has a boyfriend. And so he says, so Jerry could be like, oh, well, she has a boyfriend. But of course, he's going to try to hit on her anyway. Takes her to Tacos Mexico. And then that's when they finally, she goes up. She takes him to her house. I think it's like 5 dates. But after 5 dates, she took him to her bedroom and they have sex. This is the amount of sex that's in here, okay? My funny saying is women write porn, but men shoot it, right? Men shoot porn, women write it. So I think as a general rule, I don't think men like to write sex in books. Women do. So yeah, they have sex. There's some after sex talk. But Jerry is horny for her. He is in love with her, so it's really great. But then the dad comes home early. I remember when I went to a girl's house, actually, we weren't even kids anymore. We were in our early 20s, but the family was away and we were playing around in her house, or when my family was out, we were playing around in my house. So that was fun. So in this scene here, the dad's going to go and fuck him up. And then there's a pounding. tells him, she's like, wait, wait, Dad, don't come in. So they're having sex. They're in their teens. They're underage, and the dad's going to go and do something. So he kicks the door open, and you can see here he's shooting a bullet at him. And so, um, this is a really harsh time. So Jerry talks to her on the phone later on. You know, Biani Biani for Jerry is this love interest that's the damsel in distress. She's the girl next door, but she'll do a little bit of immoral things because she's hot for the bad boy. She's hot for the guy. But Edgar, her boyfriend, is this good guy who, is trying to be Mr. Poindexter and shit. So they get to have sex again behind the bleachers at school and or make out at least. So this is end of part. This is the end of the first 20 pages. And later on, we'll talk about the fate of Biani, how fine she is, but also we'll get into Jerry's fate as well and the prices he must pay for being a thug and you know being a sociopath and an incel and being tortured by society. Until next time.